Frodo's got to go to like that elvish like land where it's like their heaven, right? Am I wrong? What is that land?
The Undying Land, the West.
But Frodo will die in the Undying Land. That's kind of like low key, like blasphemy, right? You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, what is you know what I mean? Like, imagine being old in the Undying Land of elves, and they're just like, ugh, like,
yeah.
You look old, dude.
Especially because he doesn't have the ring.
My precious. Oh, hey. Welcome back to the Wavefunction podcast. We got two special guests with us today. We have Chris. We have Patrick. They're from the Full of Took podcast, where it is very Lord of the Rings specific. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. Maybe talk about your experience with the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us. We're so pumped to be here. We have a podcast called Full of a Took. It's, I don't know how we want to describe it. It's basically an R-rated book club where we're reading chapter by chapter, episode by episode, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I've never read.
Okay.
And I don't know much about Lord of the Rings aside from watching the movies. And anyone who's watched the movies without reading the books doesn't actually know what's going on.
Right.
It's like classic. And so basically, I convinced a lot of people in my life who I care very deeply about to start a basically 3-year commitment on a weekly, multiple hours per week commitment project called Full of a Took.
Yeah, I used to be into home improvement and like making my home a nicer place.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a podcast.
No. So how do the books and the the movies kind of differ? I mean, someone like myself, like I don't have the gusto to kind of blow through that magnitude of a read.
Absolutely. It's wildly different.
Yeah.
It's enough of a difference that I am constantly like confused.
Right.
When I'm reading, because I'm going, oh, I know this scene. This is the scene where something happens. I remember seeing this.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I saw doesn't happen.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's so fun because, I don't know, much like people who maybe saw Star Wars over and over and over again, or they watched Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, they have like a favorite IP, a franchise that they love. I love Lord of the Rings. I have them all on, I had them all on VHS, had them all on DVD, had them all on Blu-ray.
Do you dress up like Gandalf and go to these like Comic-Cons and stuff? That's Pat.
If it was going to be any of us, it would be me for sure.
Bring this tad closer, Pat.
All right, cool. If it's going to be anybody, it would be me for sure. But no, I'm a little too old for that anymore.
Okay. You look like you might go as like Pippin or something, you know?
I would love to be.
Yeah. No, you're Gimli, dude, you know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I could be Gimli.
Yeah,
I
big
did
man swinging
my
the axe.
mustache like Gimli for an episode last year. And it was very fun. But it is like truly such a wonderful thing when you know some sort of franchise, whatever it may be that you're really into, and then you think you know it like the back of your hand. And when you finally dive into the source material that the thing that you love was created from, and you find that it's like, I don't know, kind of like the tip of an iceberg, maybe. Like there's so much below the water that you didn't know existed.
So, like, is it worth it for like the average viewer? You're like, I've seen the movies, to go back and actually read the books.
Is it worth it? 1,000%.
Okay.
Is it as quick and easy as watching a 3-hour movie?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's,
No.
It's
a commitment.
It's 60 some chapters to read, Each one's like 45 minutes for a chapter. Luckily for me, I'm awful at reading. I'm borderline illiterate. So I have Spotify and I can just listen to Andy Serkis read, the audiobook for it, which is great when we come across like Gollum and Smeagol, because you hear the voices from the movies that I grew up listening to and loving.
Yeah, and you can like put a face to it while you're reading.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I read while I listen. I know Pat notoriously just reads, does not listen. I think Laura, your wife, who is also one of our co-hosts, both of our wives are the other two co-hosts. There's 4 of us on this. And we all have our own way of doing it and like reading and digesting the material. I am probably the slowest. I know like your wife reads it twice each
Laura's-
week, which is crazy.
But that's because she doesn't pay attention. She like speed reads everything. So she has to read it twice in order to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to know if this differs from the book. So, when you see Gandalf, right? He fights the Balrog, and he's Gandalf the Grey. And I always thought it was so selfish of him because he steals all the XP for himself, right? So, like, he fights off the Balrog, and then all of a sudden he comes back later as Gandalf the White. Now he's leveled up.
Yup.
Yes.
Now, back in the days, I don't know if you ever speed run Diablo 2, the cow level or whatever, but you would bring your homies with you and you would share the experience points.
Yeah.
So you could level them up too. And so selfishly,
Yeah.
and he's like a lower angel, like Ishtari is what he's classified as. They're like lower angels. And so is the Balrog, but on the opposite spectrum.
Yep.
So he steals all the XP for himself and he shoos away the rest of his party, right? That's something that's always kind of stuck with me.
It would have been nice if who would you give the XP to? If you were going to, if you had like a pot of XP and you had to divvy it up, there's there's 9 in the Fellowship.
Yeah.
So you get to choose 4.
Okay.
Who would they be?
Pippin 4 times because I want him to everything up, but harder and faster. Sorry.
So wait, yeah, but like, where does Pippin even put the experience points? Because like to me, he's going full thief.
Ooh, Thief could be interesting.
Okay. All right. So we got classes going and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a bit sneaky. I mean, we just went through. We're currently in our 2nd season, and season 2 is the 2 Towers. And in the 2 Towers, there's a very famous scene.
Helm's Deep.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Helm's
all right.
Deep is in there, but also I don't know if I guess chapter is what we'll talk about since it's a book. But regardless, where Pippin steals the Palantir, the Seeing Stone, and so
Like
he's
the company Palantir.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's where it came from.
Wow.
And what is it, Arendelle?
Okay,
is the other
Peter Thiel.
company? Right.
Nerd.
so he's already got a bit of the thief in his blood.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you would be like, I think he's got to go.
Might
full
as well
thief.
max those stats out
Yeah.
first,
Right.
Give him a hood.
But within proximity, the experience points should have gone to Frodo as well. I felt like he was
All of them should go to Frodo. To be
he was
honest.
so low level XP. I mean, wasn't Sam kind of the real hero?
Sam was the MVP.
Right. Sam's the only Hobbit that comes out of that first book with anything like a kill count.
Yeah.
Because like in the scene in the movies, you remember when they're fighting in the tomb and it's like they find all the dead dwarf bones and everything and everybody flips out and then the cave troll comes up. In the book, in that scene, they're banging down the door and everything. And before they hurt Frodo with the spear and all, Sam goes absolutely bonkers. Am I still off? God, it's in my mouth.
Yeah.
I can taste it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Was it ASMR?
Oh, dude, but that's so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. But so anyway, in the book and all, Sam like absolutely goes kill mode. He just like flips a switch and he just like comes out covered in blood. And he's the only one.
Is Sam like a low key beast in the books? You know what I mean?
So far, he's got a dark edge to him.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're only in book 2. We're in 2 Towers. I don't remember what Sam does in book 3. I mean, in the 3rd movie very much. But so far, he has proven himself a formidable hobbit.
Okay.
I mean, if I were to classify him traditionally, I would put him in the tank.
Did they
in the tank class?
Okay. That makes
You
more
know?
sense. The actor that they got pretty good for that.
Sean Astin?
Sean, he's got like
dude.
that Rudy
100%.
energy, right?
He's a linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a short linebacker. He's perfect. He's a tank.
He's like a barbarian who just is really into gardening and he doesn't turn it on ever.
Okay.
Except when he does.
We don't get that vibe in the movie until like he does
Yeah.
it, and then you're like, oh, okay, dude.
It's like people who, I think Sam is a really good example of people who like suppress their feelings and then they blow up.
Yeah.
And that's Sam,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's what I would think, at least. On the other hand, you have another hobbit named Merry, who we have a lot of differences on our belief in. But Merry is a warrior class.
Yeah.
Meriadoc,
Brandy Buck.
We know him as Merry. Peregrine Took.
Yeah.
Peregrine Took.
Yeah.
The Took family.
Okay.
Notoriously
Hence the podcast.
The fuck ups.
Right.
We are full of a Took, full of fuck ups. I am the fool. And it basically kind of comes down to Merry is the warrior class. Frodo is, I guess, more of like a scout class or like a health. I don't know what he might be, but Sam, you got your tank. Pippin, thief class, makes sense.
But Frodo's already kind of set up from Bilbo, right? I mean, Bilbo's got that clout, dude. Like the movie starts off and like everyone's like
It's nepotism
on their knees.
for sure.
Yeah, they're like,
it's 100% nepotism.
Bilbo, and he's
Yeah, it's definitely.
Bilbo is the richest man in the country.
Yeah.
And he throws parties for everybody. So like everybody's like, oh fuck yeah, Bilbo's nephew, Frodo, cool. I don't know anything about Frodo, but he's great. Why not?
Yeah, they're just. And is that why Bilbo kind of dips? Is like the clout was just overwhelming? I mean, he's just like smothered in like Ring of Power juice, and like low key, they're picking up his vibe. Like, what's up with Bilbo? He's got some.
Bilbo bought an apartment at a retirement center, and he had to go. It was time to retire.
That's essentially it. Because like people were like, why doesn't he get older? Why is he like rich all the time? What is going on in there? And it's telling because in the books, the first thing that happens when he moves out, it's like all the hungover guests at the party. When he like disappears, he dips, he's gone forever, and everybody's like, that was fucked up. That morning, there are people just showing up, like waking up drunk on the lawn, going in the house, and like ripping walls open looking for money.
Oh,
Yeah.
that wasn't in the movie.
Nope. No, the movie is a much happier version of that, but like hobbits suck.
So really, like they, low key, they were just kind of jealous.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Super jealous, and Bilbo was just like, "Yo, I'm not about this." And like,
Well, also
that's
just
some
imagine,
swag to bounce like
that
that.
everybody, imagine that quite similarly to like human beings' ages as we know. Just imagine it that way, right? So, let's say everybody's the oldest person that anyone can really remember lived to 105, right? And you're having a 111th birthday party, and you look 60. That's enough for people to start questioning.
it's like the modern day Brian Johnson. Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah.
But
Don't die.
But the other thing too is like, go back to Hobbits suck. It's like, imagine Bilbo literally went on an adventure with a bunch of dwarves. They killed a dragon. He comes back rich, and like he does all this stuff, and everybody thinks he's just a liar who got rich somewhere and came home. Nobody believes that he did anything he says he did. How long are you going to put up with that from like your jealous like nerd neighbors? Like,
just got to route at some point.
Right.
Go off with the elves or something.
literally what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun story. Like I said, we're in our second season, so we are 2/3 of the way through the Lord of the Rings, and so far, I gotta say, the book is. Well, I don't want to be, speak blasphemy, but the book is just as good, if not better, than the movie.
Okay.
The Lord of the Rings and movies, but it's truly crazy how much is not in the freaking movies, and even the extended. I watched the extended cut for the first time with the rest of the hosts. So the
What is
four
that,
of
like
us.
4 hours?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's
okay.
4 hours, and it's
It's like
broken up.
Titanic.
Yeah, and it's broken up into basically like 2 parts.
Okay. For the bathroom break?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But the way it's broken up is the first 10 or 12 chapters. The first 10 chapters or 12 chapters, I can't remember. But basically, where the break is in the movie is where the book 1 and book 2 end.
Oh.
Because The Lord of the Rings is 6 books. We know them as 3 parts.
Yeah.
But there are 6 books. 2 books, 2 books, 2 books. And that split is the split in the movies. And it was really cool. It was like, oh, this ended in the exact same place that like book 1 and book 2 begins, which is essentially them leaving Rivendell.
Yeah.
They create the Fellowship. That's the end of book 1. They leave in the beginning of book 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a long book 1.
Dude, it's
Yes.
long book 1, long movies. But I'll say this. For most people, the movies are what they get out of the Lord of the Rings. Like, if you know Lord of the Rings, it's because you see the media, you see the clips, you see all the stuff. That's all classic. That's all gold. This isn't a case where like the movies are like, suck compared to the books. Like nobody's going to say that because the movies are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's all you get out of Lord of the Rings, that's all you really need.
It's like Japanese manga. I've been watching a little bit of One Piece, and there's so many filler episodes, and I get the impression the movie just kind of took the best of this, like the most canon-like aspect of what you need to know and compressed it. But there's so much source material.
I had a bunch of people that would every year I host a Halloween party at my house with my wife, and we had a couple come who were dressed as One Piece, and I didn't know what it was. To be honest, I still don't know what it is.
With the yellow-
I know it's like a show or something, but they came and I don't know. They had like someone's stomach was painted a color, and I don't know. It was wild. I imagine that it's probably similar to what you're talking about in the sense that there is likely major storylines going on, but hardcore fans who just want stuff. Like just give me anything. And I imagine that if that, maybe that's why Rings of Power exists now, where people who are into Tolkien's writing are like, I just need more. It's been 20 years since the last.
Have you guys
Lord
seen the Rings of Power?
movie. Justin, I love the Rings of Power.
It's awesome.
I think it's absolutely incredible, and it really does justice to Tolkien. Pat?
So I treated this the same way I treated Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I watched the opening, I watched the beginning, and I said, all right, the quality is there. I'm going to wait to see if they stick it. So everyone else in the world...
What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, right. Who knows about Game of Thrones anymore? But like everyone else lost their minds when that fell off a cliff, and I was like, okay.
So you saw the first episode, but you just like stopped yourself?
Rings of Power? Yeah, man. I watched
The
it.
self-restraint.
Dude.
You sound like a guy like waiting to have sex before marriage. You're just like, you're like, it's, hey, I know the quality's there, but
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though,
He
right?
touched the titty, and he was like, that's enough.
Here's the thing, though, right?
wait.
I've been reading these books since I was like 12 years old.
Okay.
So for me, when they came out as a movie, that was almost insane to me. It was almost unimaginable. So then to have that be 20 years, I'm like, yeah, whatever. All right, show me some more media. I can wait. I got the long view.
Yeah.
But the books don't cover that, so I'm afraid, like, considering your dedication here, I'm afraid to even spill, not that there's too much to spill, you know what I mean? It's more just like...
We should not spill anything besides our emotions.
Yeah.
We can talk emotions on it. I think the whole capital G storyline, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The capital E storyline, the capital S storyline, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say...
Did you get faked out, or you
I
figured
did.
it? Dude, I got faked out all the way up, like...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also... there's going to be people listening that haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to say a single thing that spoils anything. But I will say, I thought capital S was Aragorn. Young Aragorn. For sure.
Yeah.
And then I was reminded that this is like thousands of years before The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay, it's not Aragorn.
Patrick's over here like, oh...
Dude, you should have seen. We all watched the pilot together, and as soon as it started, like 6 minutes into it, Pat starts going on his phone, which is insane for someone who's obsessed with Lord of the Rings, finally watching Lord of the Rings show that cost $1 billion for one season. For him to go on his phone 5 minutes into the first episode, I thought, something's wrong. And then I paused it and I was like, everything okay? And you were like, the timelines do not match.
I can't defend it. It's true, but I can't defend it.
But is the lore really kind of fully in depth and explained through the books? Like I have some notes here on like, you have like Era Iluvatar, like he's God and things like that, and then you have the Ishtari, the low level angels, the Valar, the Maiar, and it's like we didn't get those in the movies. Like how
We didn't get any of that. And I don't know any of that either. So I can't really contribute. That's all Pat stuff.
I was going to say, so all of that stuff that comes out of Rings of Power, right? So Rings of Power is based on like the Silmarillion and the background information and all the deep lore.
Yeah.
That's what this is. The people making Rings of Power are essentially weaving a story out of what Tolkien wrote about his world, because it's like
It's kind of low-key non-canon or what?
no, it's all canon.
Okay.
But it's like it's in the same way that a Bible is different from a novel. The Lord of the Rings is a novel. It's a story you read, you interact with, people have lines and stuff happens, whatever. And the Silmarillion is more like stories about what happened. It tells you what happened. So-and-so did this, they said this, somebody dies, everyone had fun. And they're taking that kind of information and they're inferring scenes, they're inferring stuff, they're creating from this base material. So you get a lot of weird shit like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you get cool, like if you spend $1 billion, you get a good product.
Yeah.
So people are getting like a real handheld deep dive on nerd shit that even you could not sell something like that 20 years ago. But now we have it, and it's being pushed by Amazon. It's being pushed by Bezos. It's going to be huge. It's going to be good. Season 1, I understand, is excellent. Season 2, I understand, is better. Like, that's amazing.
True. Facts. Yeah, so, when I looked into it, one of the things that I thought was interesting is the god, Era Luvatar, right? He made the man and the elves kind of like in his image, and then the Maiar, right, were the low level angels, kind of like they were on like the darker side, and you had Melkor, and then apparently, like it was just the angels, and they were like singing, kind of making reality. And I thought about it, like Melkor is the one that makes the dragons and the trolls, and I thought like this dude probably was just doing metalcore, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself like, so he was like out of like phase with the rest of the angels. They're all singing a different tune, and this guy's like, I'm gonna play metalcore. And then
do you think that this guy was just singing the villains of the Doom franchise, the game, into existence? Because I feel like the main bad guy of Doom looks like a Balrog.
It's probably not an accident.
Well, like the classic like 80s artwork of like Doom?
Yeah.
Like it's like a big horned creature with the thing and the fire. And I was like, dude, maybe he's just freaking a fan of Doom. I don't know.
Melkor wanted his own song, from what I understand in the lore. And so he just like went off tune and like, went metalcore, and he made all these like heavy metal, like made the dragon, made the trolls, he made the Balrog. And
What
I'm
was
like,
the double kick in his world?
Oh, dude, he was like 30,
What's
32. He was definitely using both feet at the same time. He was probably heel toeing for like quad time. But I'm like, listen, you send me back in time to this place. It's just like maybe I go Melkor because I just vibe with it. You know what I mean? I can only listen to harps and violins for so long.
100%.
And it's like, what we're gonna like? Okay, he made dragons though, and like dragons are sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a bunch of cool shit, but all of his stuff disrupted and destroyed the stuff around it, which is why he kind of, became the villain of everything.
Are you anti-Melkor, bro?
Bro, I don't have to be anti-Melkor. Melkor's anti-me.
Okay.
I love that. I do think, though, that there's an interesting thing that I've noticed from reading these books, which is I don't think that we can actually talk about the Lord of the Rings truly unless we talk about J.R.R. Tolkien and what he did, so far as I understand, and I understand 1/100th of what you understand about him. And so you'll probably be able to fill in a lot of facts. But it's interesting, as someone who doesn't know anything about J.R.R. Tolkien, I don't know anything about this guy. He wrote a book, and I'm reading that book now. I don't know anything about his life, besides what some people told me. They said he went to war. They said that he saw some crazy shit. That he was a linguist. So he was was he just the mastering of language, or was he was also like creating languages? This guy had seriously a lot of time for his brain to create the amount of shit that is in these books, and then also to create like the encyclopedias that the books reference to prove that what they're talking about in the books does exist.
Interesting.
Tolkien was absolutely a linguist, right? So when he the first thing he did was he made languages, and then he kind of built a story for those languages. I'm sorry, he built
So,
languages.
like, he made languages from scratch.
like Elvish.
Yes.
He designed Elvish, like from the ground up. He's like, I want to make a language. And then he was like, well, language has rules and it develops over time, like Latin does into like the Romance languages, like Spanish and French. And then, you get English, which has German influences. And he was like, okay, I can do all these things with language. I love this. This is my hobby. But language is a reflection of the world that uses it. So now I have to have a world to justify my language and to guide its development, all this other stuff. So it's just a hobby project. And then he said, well, I've got all this shit. I want to make a world in it. I want to have a story about it. I want to share this.
Yeah.
Do you know who he used to share his ideas with?
Not a clue.
C.S. Lewis, who wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh.
So, like, yeah.
Is that Narnia?
Yeah, man, Narnia.
Okay.
Like, all that
These
stuff.
guys would get together and drink whiskey and smoke cigars and go,
That's not all
I
they
came
were
up
doing.
with an idea for a wizard tonight. And and then the other one would go, that's dumb. I have a talking lion, bro. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like looping the whole theme of the wave function podcast is basically like consciousness based reality, and that like we're creating our own realities by measuring things into existence. And when I hear that, I just kind of think to myself, I'm like, what was he tapping into? Because like you've listened to Nikola Tesla back in the day, like this extra element was called the ether. And sometimes when I'm making music or whatever I'm doing, like artistically, it's almost like something's already there. And instead of creating it, it's more like I'm tapping into it and like creating your own Elvish language. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he made a word in Elvish, and if elves ever existed, that's what the word was.
Well, the funny thing that you say about that is that I've learned about this, both Elvish and Dwarvish, is that we have a dwarf, which has an F on the end, and we have an elf, which has an F on the end. So prior to Tolkien, it was elfish. And he kind of corrected that whole path forever
Drop
for
the
humans
ish.
to go with a V, elvish, dwarfish, which is like kind of what you're talking about. It's like, how do you correct something like that?
So, and that's the other thing too, right? Is like you kind of think like when what you're talking about sounds like water, not creating a channel to make a river, but finding the channel to become the river.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
but through thoughts.
But through thoughts, right? And then the language is a system that we create and we use, and it's modified by what we do, how we say, and how we use it, and how it's understood and communicated, and the whole thing, right? So there are rules that we understand about language, or maybe we utilize them without understanding them, right? But there is a framework in which all this happens that we may or may not be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, when somebody says something to you and you're like, that grammar's weird. Like the way they said that doesn't quite jive. It's not quite there. And then why is it wrong? You don't know, but it sounds a little off,
Yeah.
right?
He could totally have been tapping into something like that. Even the characters, like, something like the dragon. I mean, certainly the dragon was already kind of understood, but like sometimes questions if dragons were real. Like we have this like 13 symbol zodiac, and all of the animals are real. And then I'm supposed to think like dragons weren't. And then I'm like, okay,
Dragons are fucking universal, man. Like every culture has a dragon.
Yeah.
They're big, scary lizards that, either grant wishes, kill people, or breathe fire or fly.
or they hoard gold against
Bingo.
Bilbo's wishes.
Yeah.
and the dwarves.
We had an amazing conversation in season 1 about this. And I think it was on the one with the trolls.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. Where I had a question in season 1 because I asked this exact same question, which was basically like, why is it that every single culture has the same made up animals?
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
Right. Like elves,
And not only
dragons,
that, but there
like
are
all of them.
rules. We know that there are rules. When we talk about trolls in the and you can distill it down and you can draw the influences from the various stories and the passed down things, but it's worth considering some of the facts of like, okay, there are like let me ask you, Justin, what are the rules that we know about vampires?
We know that they don't like garlic, that silver like a silver bullet or a knife would hurt them, and we know they drink blood and live forever.
And they don't like daylight, right? Like
They don't like
Like
daylight.
daylight. Maybe they sleep upside down or in a coffin. Like there are like things that are associated with a completely made up thing. And it's wild because those things that are made up are in a lot of these kind of conscious animals that are created, or villains, or monsters, or whatever word you want to use to describe them. But it's really fascinating when, I mean, it really comes into play. And I'm sure that this comes into play more if you're reading literature that's even older than The Lord of the Rings. I don't read a lot of old literature. It's just not my jam.
Dude, I wish, man. Sometimes I'm like, I find like you just like see these Instagram posts of like really, really old books, and there's just like super esoteric information. You're like, where did this go? Like, why aren't we?
That's
talking
my
about-
wife,
you know?
1,000%. She's got a whole bookcase of books that were printed before the 1900s.
Ooh,
And she knows them. And
don't
she,
yard sale those.
Oh my God. And she's like, oh, well, this one's great and this is great. And you know, in this episode of season 1, I asked this question of like, why the hell do we all, across all languages and all cultures of the world, have the same monsters with the same rules? You know what I mean? And it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's because what is it? The idea is what is it? Independent creation, or like two people have the same idea without any kind of cross germination of ideas. Like they're not exposed to the same background stuff.
There was an experiment on this. I forget the name of it, but basically, like, they had these monkeys on an island, and they would cover, let's just call it fruit and sand, and then like the monkeys realized that they had to wash the fruit first. Or, anyways, I could be saying the experiment wrong, but apparently, like the moment they figured this out, like X amount of monkeys, that the neighboring island did it immediately, like, and they didn't communicate. And see the idea that like we have like universal thought. I know like Michael Jackson, there's like quotes of him, like he would, if he had an idea, he would wake up and make that idea immediately because he'd be afraid that like Prince would, because he's like, oh, it's going around the ether right now. You know what I mean? I feel like humans are like that, like our collective consciousness, and like we're building reality around us. And I have that idea sometimes too, where I'm like, I have a really good idea, and like I almost feel like, okay, that's in the ether right now. Like I have to act on this soon or whatever. Like even that song I showed you earlier, I'm like, no one's ever made like this multi-stage like video game EDM song. You guys will hear it Pleasant Resonance SoundCloud. You know, maybe it'll be out by then. But yeah, I think like sometimes when the idea is in the air, you know, it's all of a sudden like it's accessible to everyone, you know, and
It's
like,
all doorways, right?
Yeah.
So like I am also a musician, and I'm a creator for a living, full-time artist. And every single moment I'm awake, I'm creating something, sometimes for money, sometimes for self-pleasure. You know, just like music's just, I don't make music for money, and I just do that because like I love it.
Same.
And I also spend, you know what I mean? Like there's different avenues of creation, and there's different like things that I get out of it. And I am never seeking, it's not like I am entering a warehouse of ideas. I am an empty vessel when I'm creating, and I open the door and invite what's out there in.
And that's the flow state that I assume J.R.R. Tolkien was in. I mean,
Like he has to tap into something somewhere, right? Like you guys, I feel like you come at this from like a position where they're like, okay, there's a gestalt consciousness. There's something that we all tap into. There's a commonality that we all experience in some way, somehow, sometimes.
Yeah.
I kind of come at it from a different direction where I say like, okay, I find comfort in the idea that people are more alike than they are different, right? So if you expose two completely different human beings to two moderately different circumstances, you're still going to achieve relatively similar results in the grand scheme of things, like on a cosmic level. Mm-hmm. So then when a third person interprets that, like you each make a song, whatever, you make it same time, same whatever, you have a lot of the same stimulus, a lot of the same impulses, cultural background, whatever. Then I come into it with my perspective. I'm going to infer things. I'm going to put something into your creation, into your music, as I internalize it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, because we're three human beings, we share a lot. So we're going to come at it from similar directions, and we're going to come to a similar conclusion somehow.
So tapping into that, it's almost like epigenetically we all are kind of predisposed to similar information. And so when you have things like trolls and dragons and things like that, you know, coming from your angle, we're almost all have this preconceived knowledge, either genetically or whatever. So maybe J.R.R. Tolkien was tapping into that. I mean, Ursold, there's some weird hieroglyphics of like mixed human hybrids and things like that. And I feel like a lot of esoteric information's either dissolved or just, you know, sold in the wrong garage sale to the wrong person. But yeah, I mean, I tend to think that, you know, he was tapping into something that sure had some fiction to it, but I feel like by characteristic of how the characters behaved, whether it's the trolls or the hobbits and things like that, there's like some level of accuracy whether it's like the hobbits being like, you know, sneakier types or like the dragons kind of like being wiser, right?
Yeah,
you know, it's
absolutely old and wise, right?
Yeah.
And there's also another aspect of it, which is, you know, symbolism and like you can approach it from like the creation of the troll and the creation of what's the opposite of a troll? An extra small person, right? So they're opposites, which is fun. The contrast of that is fun. Who in reality, in real life, was the troll in this man's life, in Tolkien's life? Who was the troll that made him feel small?
Ooh.
You know, there's also that aspect of it.
You think there's a lot of life experience in his books that like if we knew Tolkien's real life story and somehow we could superimpose that over the story, not necessarily of taking a ring to a volcano, but you know, of like the tribulations and things like that, would there be some sort of alignment?
Yeah, dude, you are tapping into a major theme in Tolkien's writing. So it's funny because
Boom! Wait, hold on.
okay, we got the effect.
I think
Boom!
where is this thing?
Nailed it! Oh my god, dude, he's been making this joke for the last year, like meow, meow, meow. And now to have the effect, awesome.
We don't record, for context, we don't record with headphones on our podcast.
Yeah.
So no one ever hears himself
Oh, okay.
when he's talking to the mics. Ed,
Yeah. That's
in
great.
the one pair of headphones that is plugged into the board, I found that button, boo, boo, and I hit it all the time, but you can't hear it.
It's really good.
You hear it like it's a cell phone 30 feet away. But,
Yeah.
you know. But absolutely, continue, sorry.
No, it's fun. I was going to say, though, Tolkien's writing, absolutely, you can't create something without putting yourself into it, right? Tolkien was a soldier in World War I. And so this is a story where four little hobbits are plucked out of their home, their safe, comfy countryside, and they go on a great adventure together. And it's bad, and they know it's going to be bad. That is essentially the lived experience of soldiers in England in World War I. Because the U.S. Army and the U.S. military, they take people from all over, and then they mix them up in little units. So it's not like you're fighting with the people you live next to. The English Army specifically did that. They would take all the men from one area and say, okay, you're all one unit, go.
You think he had like 3 really close homies or something like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why
Absolutely.
not, right?
But like,
What was the impossible task that they
Who
had
was
to
his
do?
Sam though? Was he Frodo? You know?
or was he Sam even? Like,
Ooh.
but here's the thing though.
Who would you rather be?
If I had to be Frodo or Sam,
Yeah.
knowing how it all plays out,
Yeah.
I want to be Frodo because I want the money.
Does Frodo end up with money?
He starts with money.
Okay. Yeah, I get
He takes
that.
all Bilbo's money.
Yeah, but Sam gets the girl and gets to like stay with the culture. Frodo's got to go to like that elvish like land where it's like their heaven, right? Am I
Yeah.
wrong? What is that land?
The Undying Land, the West.
But Frodo will die in the Undying Land. That's kind of like low key, like blasphemy, right? You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, what is, you know what I mean? Like, imagine being old in the Undying Land of elves, and they're just like, ugh, like,
Yeah,
you look old, dude.
Ew,
especially because he
what's
doesn't have the ring.
Yeah,
The ring is what prevents you from aging.
Sarah V
So-
or something, you know?
He's gonna fucking age fast.
like he's the only bowl. He's the only piece of fruit in the bowl that's getting moldy, and everybody else is like, "Ooh."
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Hey,
want
that
one.
child that you brought here is smelling quite bad.
Your strange child is ripe. Jesus.
Well, the humans and the hold on, I got it. The humans and the elves were the two species that Iluvatar, the god of this realm, like made in his image. So I mean, got to work together, right?
That's right.
You know,
Hobbits, dwarves, afterthoughts.
yeah. What's up with the dwarves? They greedy.
Yo, they greedy. Somebody made them in secret and was like, I want my own special species of peoples. Made them.
Yeah.
And then they got found out and it was like, oh no, you know, daddy found out I was in the garage making my own whatever. And then instead of them getting all destroyed, because it was like essentially blasphemy, the compromise was, all right, we're just going to put them to sleep under mountains and in caves and they'll wake up at the right time. Well, when's that? Nobody knows. So that's why you have like in the stories, you have like elves, dwarves are like, they hate each other. That's a whole thing. And humans and elves like work together. And it's kind of like the way they came into the world and the way they come into the story and how they support or antagonize each other.
Well, elves, from what I understand, are they live in accordance with nature, whereas I don't know if the dwarves kind of do. I mean, they mine and
I guess so. Mountains, nature, right?
The dwarves create, they craft, they do those things. The elves kind of to your point, they more live in harmony with nature. Like that's sort of that's the sense. Like they follow the more hippie road, and then dwarves go for hard industry.
Okay, all right.
They're blue collar.
Yeah, blue collar. That's it.
Yeah.
We got granola and blue collar.
They're all diehard Republicans.
All right, so okay, we're gonna do marry, F, kill.
Okay.
With each of you, and it's gonna be Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn.
Okay. I would marry Legolas because his great eyes,
I can see so far.
but also he's half asleep most of the time. He's not in a fully conscious state.
But if you marry him, he's gonna outlive you, and then he's gonna be with
I
so
don't
many,
have to
so
be
many,
in
so,
love
so
with
many
him.
people out. Aren't you gonna get jealous? You're like, oh, this guy's not aging, and when I die, he's gonna go on to the next person.
If I marry,
Isn't that a him problem?
if I marry Gimli, I am marrying down in society.
Yeah.
If I marry
Your beards will match.
Legolas, I know. If I marry Legolas, I would remind him of Gimli. And I would be marrying up in society.
Okay.
If I marry,
Sounded like a gold digger, dude.
yeah, 100%,
Okay.
100%.
Fair.
If we're talking that time period,
Yeah.
I'm digging gold. I'm interested in living long. I like the sunlight. I like the woods. Legolas lives in the woods.
Okay.
Where does he live?
Mirkwood.
Mirkwood. He lives in the woods of Mirkwood. I love that. I'm not interested in spending my life underground, which tells me I'd have to fuck Gimli. Which also tells me most likely Gimli's fucking me.
But so you're going to kill Aragorn? Okay.
I'm going to kill Aragorn, but it's going to be a valiant fight to the death.
At least that's man on man. We got to keep it in the
Yes.
same species. All right. What are you thinking, Pat?
All right. So Chris is talking about marrying up, right? 'Cause he wants to marry Legolas because Legolas is like an elf prince. Well,
Because then I
Aragorn,
can still fuck around. I'm married to an elf prince, but I can go fuck around.
right? Because what does he care?
Because I would kill, AKA kill Aragorn, but I would probably blow him or something.
All right. So I'm gonna remove that. No. Okay. So me though, if we're gonna marry up and that's the goal, absolutely gonna marry Aragorn. That man is a stand-up gentleman.
But he's never around.
That's perfect.
He's
I
a-
don't want to marry a man.
He's around at the end of the trilogy, dude. After he's crowned king of Middle Earth,
But
right?
after he has accomplished everything and now he's the king of the world, absolutely. Now's the time to come home.
Yeah, you don't
and
want
then
him on
we'll
the
go.
Come home
up.
to
He's-
Patty B.
Right.
Let's go.
I don't want him when he's wandering around the kingdom by himself in a cloak, talking to himself in the third person, which he
Yeah.
does in the books.
Oh.
He comes off as a real weirdo in the books, man.
Like a schizophrenic.
He's
Not-
like,
not
Strider
schizophrenic.
is hungry.
Yeah, it's like the only
For real?
Yeah. Dude, seriously.
He talks to the third person.
The only one who sounds crazier than Aragorn in the books is Gollum.
Yeah.
Dead ass.
No, really?
Yeah, really. Really. Because
Wow.
it's only when things get real serious.
Okay.
Aragorn talks in the third
So we
person.
marry Aragorn.
Right, we marry Aragorn because he's going to accomplish great things. I know, I believe in him. I'm not fucking Gimli.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. So we got to put him in the ground. But he likes the ground, so that'll work for him. Legolas,
He's
yeah.
he's making a lot of sense over here.
I'm not here to make sense. I'm here to get fucked by Gimli.
So fundamentally, this is the dichotomy of our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
So you're just gonna have sweet tender love with
Legolas?
Legs of Lass.
I don't think that Legolas doesn't understand what sex is. I think he thinks it's holding hands, watching the sunset.
Do the elves do that? I'm not even joking around. Like, is that how they procreate?
No, they
I wouldn't be surprised if they like put a seed in the ground and like an elf comes up.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not joking.
100%.
Yeah.
No, they follow normal biological rules, but I think yours is.
But wouldn't they get like hyper overpopulated like really fast? Because right? Isn't that kind of a conundrum? Like if we were
they don't
elves
die.
if we were elves as society, we'd be at like 50 billion by now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
so
It's very important that
imagine
human
like
beings die.
prices of apartments. You know what I mean? It'd be like crazy.
Or imagine having to like go to Thanksgiving dinner with 400 people, and
And they're all related to you.
and 300 of them are disappointed in the things you haven't accomplished yet because you're only 10 years old or 10,000 years old or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think if we were going to talk about like kill, marry, fuck on this side, what about you, my friend?
Oh man, I asked that not even thinking the answer myself. All right. You gotta I think you marry Aragorn, right? You do, because I like what are you gonna do when I die, Legolas? You gonna move on? You know what I mean? This is a thing.
You want to matter.
This is between me, you, and
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
bro. Like you're gonna forget about me like a week later, and that pisses me off.
Yeah.
That's
It's
fair.
your entire life, but it's 1 week to him.
So, and then I would say like F Legolas, like, and put Gimli in the dirt, dude. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, honestly,
You know.
I think that's the right choice.
Yeah, that's the most logical thing.
It
But
sounds to me like you guys are gold diggers, and I'm living a very extreme, fun life with my choices.
I'll take Aragorn even when he's on the trip. Like he's away from home, but I know like he's gonna live the same length as me, so he's coming home regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Assuming he doesn't get murdered by Uruk-hai
Exactly.
at Helm's Deep.
That's right.
He tore it up. He tore it up. Helm's Deep.
It's so good. It's so good. Helm's Deep is so fucking good.
Is
It's like-
Helm's Deep that good in the book? Like Helm's Deep in the like the problem is like you grow up today, right? And you see movies today, you don't realize the live action scale of like movies like further back. Like I remember watching Lord of the Rings and being spun out. Just like, whoa, what is happening? Like not just the CGI, but like the real sets they built in like New Zealand, things like that. And then Helm's Deep being the second movie, right? You're thinking like, all right, well, what's going to top the first movie?
Yeah.
Right. The first movie was already crazy. You took me all around the land. And then all of a sudden you have like a theatrical battle that felt like unmatched. And you're watching it. And even the way they scale out the Uruk-hai armies with the CGI, you're like, this is crazy.
It was, to me, the craziest battle scene I had ever seen in my life. Like in a movie.
Oh, for sure. It's like, it's at least up to that point. I mean, you can make arguments maybe for other movies now, but like up to that point in our lives, it was unequivocally unmatched.
The only thing that like remotely came close at that time period for me was two. One was Spartacus, the original one, from oh my god, I'm blanking.
What, the old sword and sandal one with
yeah, Kurt.
not Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I can't remember his last name.
the third,
Douglas.
yeah,
Kirk Douglas, yeah.
Kirk Douglas was great. But then you also had Braveheart, right? So notoriously, Braveheart was wonderful. And this is Western cinema.
Braveheart though was just like a bunch of horses on land. Like Helm's Deep was like, that's a real castle. And then I watched like the making of, and it was like, that place was real. They built like a small mini castle to film this.
Yeah.
It's like, this is crazy.
Also, fun fact, I forget what it is, but when they decommissioned the Helm's Deep set, they turned it into
Amusement park?
Prison.
the next castle in Return of the King.
Oh,
Oh, really?
It's the same castle. Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
If you they
how eco-friendly.
yeah. Well, they were like, we built
It's New Zealand.
this thing. How do we make it not, how do we not waste $25 million? And they turned it into, I don't spoil nothing. I'm not there yet, but whatever the White Castle is, I think it's Minas Tirith
Yeah.
is in the third one. And so they turned it into that. So I'm excited when we inevitably, at the end of season 3, when we're doing the Return of the King, we're going to watch the movie. At the end of each season, we watch the movie.
Yeah.
And we compare it to the book. I'm excited to be like, oh shit, how's Helm's Deep turn into Minas Tirith? You know, that'd be cool.
It's so fucking good.
So what's interesting is they reused the set from Helm's Deep for later on in the movie, and I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, it was probably used for like some of the later scenes in the movie.
In the Return of the King, they used Helm's Deep as the main set piece for the battle at Minas Tirith. This is going. You got to help me here because this is going off my memory. The last time I saw Return of the King was probably 10 years ago. But I have never read the books. But as a fun fact, that is a really cool thing to know. It's the same place, and in my head, Helm's Deep is like magical. It's mystical. It's scary. It's the dark. It's blue. I know it's not blue, but in my head, it's blue because the scene's at night and it's blue in the moonlight. And like, I have the imagery of that whole rainy time, and the guy with no eye shoots the arrow accidentally. Yeah. And it gets the orc, and then it sets off on, I have it like every frame of that in my head. I have almost zero memory of the Battle of Minas Tirith, though.
So in the third movie, and this is a topic I want to bring up, is like they win the war against Sauron, right? They burn the ring in the weirdest way, but yeah, right. So the hobbits are knighted, and they go to kneel, and like Aragorn's like, you don't kneel for anybody. Right now, you're a hobbit. You traveled all the way across the Middle Earth. You defeat like the ultimate boss that's like going to take over the planet, and then you got to go home, and now you're a pleb again.
Yep.
And it's like, imagine like modern day somebody like secret agent or whatever. Like they just have to like no one knows I saved the world. Like that would.
Well, this is exactly what you were talking about before, Justin. Right? With the symbolism of real life.
And Bilbo. Like, that's Bilbo's whole fucking story, right? We talked about that, too.
Because, yeah, I guess that dragon was, like, ready to, like...
It was an unkillable dragon?
An invincible monster from beyond, like, reality. You go out there, you fuck it up like it's your job, you come home loaded with cash, and everyone thinks you just won the lottery in, like, overseas.
Where you got into like pirating.
They think you got like a like a lucky hand and poker or something.
Yeah.
Like, this
but
guy.
that also is probably like in Tolkien's reality. He is a hero overseas saving the world in a war and comes back home and it's just the old guy on the block.
Right.
So answer this for me. If all right, TV's real in Lord of the Rings, Frodo comes home. And he doesn't, instead of looking at himself and be like, yeah, I'm just another Bilbo, I saved the planet, and everyone thinks I'm still clown shoes. You know, if they knew and he's got the clout, does he stay? Or is he still cursed by the energy of the ring and he's got to bounce regardless?
I think Frodo has to roll because his experience was fundamentally different from Bilbo's, in that Bilbo went on an adventure and like didn't really expect to live through seeing a dragon, but like Frodo went on a suicide mission and lived. And that's different. And that's got to mess you up in different ways. So like just returning back to the normal, even if everybody knows what you did is amazing, it changes your life completely. How can you live next to what you used to love and what used to be normal for you after what happened?
So why didn't the giant eagles just take him there? Because, I mean, you see the giant eagle take him away, and you're just like, oh, we could
have solved this.
This is a little confusing, right?
Well, part of it is like, do you want the real answer or you want the fun answer?
I want the real answer.
Fun answer first, air traffic controllers. The more real answer is that like those eagles are not under anyone's control. They don't belong to anybody. They don't necessarily work with anybody.
Yeah.
But also the whole point is you have to be secret. And so a bunch of eagles fly. You will notice a giant bird fly. If you're an evil wizard with your magic eye that sees everywhere, you'll see a big fucking bird fly at you. You just will. That's the assumption.
It's like an airplane flying at your apartment.
So they send out, what were those dragons called? Or the things that...
The Nazgul, the flying monsters.
Yeah, so like what, they send the Nazgul out? Like, I don't know, those birds were tearing them up in the third movie. Does that happen in the books? Like the battle between the birds and the Nazgul? Like, they show up at the end and you're like, oh, like, we got like...
Yeah.
You know,
they're pretty badass. In the movies, they're pretty badass, right? I'm assuming, and again, I don't know how it is written in the book. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm assuming that so far... my entire position with reading this book has been almost like a skeptic. Like I question everything.
Yeah.
And there's kind of been a pretty sound answer for almost everything. Our entire podcast is based on me, a non-fantasy reader.
Right.
I don't read fantasy. The last fantasy book I read was Harry Potter in 5th grade. And I read like mental health books and like self-help books and like I don't read like novels and stuff. So I am questioning everything.
Yeah.
When we show up every week, we talk about a different chapter every week. And we show up and Pat and his wife Laura, between the two of them, each probably have 4 to 5 things they want to say. Mm-hmm. Here are my 5 takeaways from this chapter. My wife Robbie, she usually comes with 3 or 4 things that she really wants to talk about. Pat, on average, how long is my list?
It's usually 2 to 3 pages, single spaced.
I come with between 30 to 70 talking points of things I want to question and go,
specific questions.
I do not understand this. Why is this happening? Please explain that. Why didn't they just do this? And to be honest, it's the answers are there every time and I miss them. They're right in front of me. But I'm so busy trying to question things that sometimes I don't see the answers that are directly in front of me, which is an interesting thing I noticed about myself. Yeah. I don't know.
You're a fun guy, man.
Well, if you guys want to hear it, Fool of a Token podcast, check it out. You guys like your podcasts, do they kind of extend out and you guys kind of go deep through? Like, I don't know how many episodes you have thus far.
Yeah, so basically
we're
we're like a baby podcast. I know a lot of people have been podcasting for a long time. We started last summer. This month at least, and maybe it's in the next 2 weeks, is like our 1-year anniversary of like recording our first episode. So like
awesome.
Our season 1 has 22 episodes.
Okay.
There is 1 episode for each chapter of The Fellowship of the Ring. Season 2 is The Two Towers, but we also started off season 2 with a bonus episode, which is our book versus movie comparison episode, where we watched.
Would that be like a good introduction? Like if you just jump,
okay, absolutely.
Seen the movies,
absolutely.
haven't seen the book. You're like,
if you've seen the movies and you haven't read the books, and you don't want to listen to 22 hours of a podcast,
yeah,
the first or second episode, I forget which order it is, but the first or second episode of season 2, we literally just talk about the movie. If that's all you know is that Peter Jackson movie, that's all we talk about. And you'll be able to relate to so much of what we're talking about. Now, we do compare it to the books, you know?
Yeah, I think that, to your point, like the movie versus book episode is a great introductory point. It's a great ending point for people who've been through us and like from a book perspective, it's cool. But for if you're coming for the other way, like the movie's all you know, that is a wonderful way to kind of peek behind the curtain on all that background material, all that cool stuff that's in the books, all that like layered material, all the subtleties, all the richness, the things that they had to cut because they couldn't make a 20-hour movie, they had to make a 3-hour movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, the movie's phenomenal. If the movie is all you ever want out of Lord of the Rings, cool, good for you. You're getting a great story. If you want more and you want deeper and you want like a better explanation and a better world to inhabit, go for the books. They're not.
And also, you said something to me that is so true, which is the movies, the Lord of the Rings movies, are not made for people who have not read the books. They are made specifically for people who read the books, which is different. We don't really do that with movies anymore. Most movies, they're adapted from a book and they spell out the exposition of everything and why everything's happening, and they're made for people who didn't read the books. Bro, I watched this movie and I was like, I've seen The Fellowship of the Ring at least 20 times in my life. I love that movie and I know almost every scene from it. And I watched that movie and I realized I had never watched The Fellowship of the Ring. And I was like, I have it on multiple formats and I've watched it so many times. And it turns out I didn't know a goddamn thing about the movie.
Yeah, because
I didn't understand a single scene the way I thought what actually it was versus what I thought it was.
Yeah, I rewatched the movies I think like 6 months ago, and I was spun out how good they like
They're so good
I
still.
was like, oh, these held up. Like
Yeah.
you could show your kids these and they wouldn't feel outdated.
Especially if you get like a Blu-ray of them or a 4K version.
Okay.
They look like they were made last year. The CGI holds up. That's crazy.
And the practical effects, right?
Yeah.
Like you were talking about like the scope of like Helm's Deep and like all that shit that happened.
Mm-hmm.
They had guys whose only job was to make the ringmail armor for the orcs. And it was like 3 guys working for like a year.
And they made
Crazy.
2 million
Yeah.
rings.
Hundreds of yards of steel wire that they just bent into little circles and turned into armored jackets.
So what's up with, okay, this bouncing topics just a little bit.
Yeah.
In the movies, I feel like Gandalf shows up at the last second. You know what I mean?
Helm's Deep?
Helm's Deep, he rolls up. But
Yes.
there's like that other scene where like the Nazgul are like coming down on the horses and like he shows up and flashes the wand, you know, and it's just like...
Gandalf.
Does he do that in the books? Like he's just like this kind of like plot armor. You're like, oh man, everything's going to shit, and all of a sudden like Gandalf rolls up. He's like,
We talked about this.
got his posse
ahead,
with
go
him.
ahead,
It's
go
like,
ahead.
all right,
So like the whole thing with Gandalf is he is kind of sent to right the world. Like that's
Yeah.
his purpose in the literature and in the world. So he does kind of like White Knight stuff. He does sort of like, I'm the cavalry, I show up when I'm needed. But the problem is he's only one person. He's only one character. So in the books, because it's more expansive, because there's more to it, it's longer, you see all the times Gandalf isn't able to be around and essentially the consequences of people having to work for themselves.
It's like Gandalf is a babysitter, and the story is told from the baby's perspective.
yeah,
And they're like, the babysitter always shows up at the most opportune time to save my butt, but also, you kind of fucked me when you weren't here.
right.
And the babysitter was like, I was literally in the process of saving your life. I can't be here
Which-
every single second.
You know, in the Rings of Power, and this is not giving any way thing way for you,
You guys are
Pat,
good.
but
You
like
guys are good.
the so like
There's a ring.
all these yeah, all these low level angels, they show up as meteors, and what I thought was an interesting concept is that there's like this Bible quote, and I'm not like this big Bible guy, but it's like 200 angels were sent down to like cut down these like huge trees, and that they actually ended up finding like it was like 196 craters on the earth where there's like no debris or anything like that. And I just thought that was like a really weird concept, and that kind of goes back to like J.R.R. Tolkien like tapping into things and like these like angelic beings being sent down. And we could get into like, I mean,
Yeah,
probably
like
not.
was he drawing inspiration from like those actual craters?
Yeah,
craters on
exactly.
Earth?
Yeah, like what angels coming down, like, and they're like almost like shooting stars, and all of a sudden, like they create this crater, like they're sent down by, in this case, Ilvatar. They don't talk about this at all. He's the god of the. I would like to know more about that. I don't think the Rings of Power necessarily get into like super
might.
pre-lore.
They
They're gonna have to
don't.
make another series of just like the beginning of Middle Earth.
It should be a sequel spinoff called Things of Power.
Honestly, it'd be funny. It would be more like one of the History Channel's like unexplained mysteries things where it's like, oh man, did you know that there were 7 Maya or 7 Astari sent to the Middle Earth? And then you get like all the stories about the Blue Wizards, who, fun fact, in the like core material and like Lord of the Rings and everything,
Yeah.
they get mentioned one time.
Yeah, the Blue Wizards throw me off because I'm looking into this. We got on the Ishtari. These are like the good, like lower level angels. You have Saruman. Everyone knows Saruman. He good guy gone bad. Then you got Gandalf, and then you have Radagast, and Radagast got caught up in nature and things like that. And so like low key, the only two really fighting each other are Saruman and Gandalf. And then it mentions the 2 Blue Wizards, and then I'm like, all right, like sweet lore.
Fuck
Like,
are they?
yeah, you know what I mean?
Doesn't he? Tolkien does that a shitload in his books because remember, Tolkien knows what he's talking about. And he wants you to go back to the appendix in the back of the book, which is just chapters of background material. And he's like, yeah, if you want to know more about the Blue Wizards, go check page 1184, section 3.
Sounds like a basketball team, like Blue. I don't know.
The Blue Wizards.
Yeah.
Or like,
It's a little league
Were they
team.
like were they twins or something? Or like, have you ever looked into the appendix of the Blue Wizards? Or
yeah, so what they are essentially is they have the same job that all the other wizards have, which is like they get sent to kind of like unfuck things
yeah,
in Middle Earth and to
Right.
kind of like set things right again. Saruman goes to Isengard and sets up shop. He's in charge.
Right.
But he gets all involved in his own stuff and tries to essentially make his own world. Radagast, he does not care for men and he likes nature and beasts. He thinks people suck. He thinks elves are whatever. He just wants to like focus on nature. So he's like largely out of the picture. Gandalf cares about people. So that's why he interacts with the story so much, because the story's told about people. The two blue wizards go way far east. They go like off map.
Yeah.
And then
What's past Middle Earth out east?
right, only the blue wizards really know, and
Okay.
it is strongly implied that Sauron just like snatched him up on the way by.
Oh.
Yeah, so like it's their mission, whatever they set out to do, failed.
Okay.
Either failed directly or they set themselves up further out and they turned into like a fucking witch kings that we don't even know about. But like they fail. That's the whole point. Is that like Gandalf is the one who saves the day every time because he's literally the only one still on the job.
Wow. Yo, shout outs to Gandalf. I mean,
Shout off Gandalf. Shout off.
Gandalf's like definitely the favorite. I mean, the you shall not pass scene was like,
Oh, bro, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that. So,
So hold on.
oh yeah,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Where do you rate the "You Shall Not Pass" from the movie? Like favorite moments of the movie, favorite film moments, whatever. Like how big is that scene in your mind?
You shall not pass is probably, I'd have to think about it more, but it's easily top 2 for me. Like it's the most quotable thing from the entire series, and the way he puts his staff down, because he's standing amongst this Balrog, and you don't really,
And you can hear it in your head.
and
You shall not pass. Like the diction, the way he says it.
just tore it up.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't know any of the lore, and I looked into it a little bit afterwards. I'm like, all right, so like the Balrog is like essentially a counterpart. Like he's like, a low level angel on the other side, made by Melkor,
Metalcore.
right? And then
He's a heavy.
Gandalf.
He's a tank.
Gandalf takes all the XP, but you don't know up to that point like what he's packing. Right, like you're watching this and like they just go through the dwarf caves and you're like, oh, like Gandalf's about to die, like dude's gonna low-key martyr himself first film. Then he takes the XP levels up and you're like, oh wow. So I mean,
So it's like a super iconic scene with a super quotable moment, right? Chris, how's it different in the book?
He doesn't say that in the book.
no, don't do that to me.
He says, "You cannot pass."
You cannot pass. That's
It's different.
it
doesn't
different.
hit the
Wow.
same.
When you first read it, you were like, wait, what? Wait.
Yeah, I read it and I went, you cannot pass. Okay, yeah. So he's coming. You cannot pass. Okay, yeah. Uh-huh. You cannot pass. And with that, he slams his staff into the ground and the bridge collapses. And I went, wait a minute. You shall not pass was not Tolkien's words. That was Catherine's words,
her
who
name.
wrote it,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
wrote The Fellowship of the Ring.
and delivered by Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
Now, another layer of screwed up, possibilities on top of that is, do you know who the original thought for Gandalf was as a cast in the movies? Like who they wanted to cast originally, like who they pitched?
No.
Wild guess. You're the man now, dog. Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Oh my goodness gracious.
Did you picture it?
No.
You cannot pass.
No.
I'm fucking serious.
That would have been terrible.
It would have
Right.
been a different movie.
Right, but instead we got like a Shakespearean actor.
Do you know who they pitched for Frodo instead of Elijah Wood?
No.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
And he walked up and he went, shabba-dee-doo.
Jesus Christ.
do you feel weird? So like when you read the books, do you feel like any of the actors were kind of misplaced?
Miscast? Like
Yeah,
a
miscast.
a
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, you're like, wrong one.
So the thing about the movies is they're done so well
Yeah.
that the actors and actresses that are cast are right because they're also kind of making a synthesis because the characters are built in a way that they're almost different than the book characters, but they're still whole. They're still amazing.
They like make them their own.
Yeah, they make them their own. So I think honestly, everybody's on part. Like everybody's on target, honestly, except Orlando Bloom.
Really?
He looks like an elf,
Legolas?
but like
Correct.
You go back and then you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, and
Is
you're
this
like,
based right now?
and you're like,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Orlando Bloom is a great Legolas in the movies, but that's not Legolas from the books.
Who's Legolas in the books? Like, is he taller? Is he less handsome?
He's judgmental.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anything that's going on.
he's
He is
snarky and a shitbag.
he's only there because his father's the king, and he's like, "Ugh, I guess as the prince I'll be here." It's very like rich kid.
Like Mean Girls.
Okay.
Like he's like the rich popular kid, and he had to go on this thing. It's not because, like in the movies, he stands up at the Council of Elrond when they're all around the table and they're deciding the fellowship, and it's like this really great scene. You can have my sword, you have my axe. That, by the way, none of that's in the book.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a damn shame, because that's a great line from the movies. Like, you have my sword, you have my axe, you have my bow. That doesn't exist. And what ends up happening is Elrond has like 35 people in a circle.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're going, you're going, you're going, and you're going. And Legolas is kind of like, fuck.
He gets kind of sent as a punishment too.
Yeah.
Like they go into it, but it's,
He's like, God damn it.
because like in the books, they capture Gollum and they may or may not have tortured him for information, but they imprison him with the elves. And Legolas is only in the story at all because he showed up to Elrond's house to be like, I am really sorry, but we lost him. Gollum escaped.
We lost Gollum. That's why
Is
he
Gollum
shows up.
similar? Is he crazier or less crazy in the books?
He's way crazier in the books.
Way
He's
crazier?
darker. He's a monster in the books.
Like,
he eats babies.
in the books.
Oh. I think if they had him eat babies in the movies, there'd be like less attraction to like liking his character. Be like,
Yes.
"Ugh."
He doesn't have like baby toddler Pixar eyes like he does in the movie.
Okay.
Like in the movie, he's like kind of cute.
What's interesting about Gollum in the first movie is that was the first, from what I know, the first motion tracking technology. The actor, the guy that does Planet
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis does Planet of the Apes. Like he kind of pioneered and spearheaded this whole like
He was great. Yeah.
tracer tech. You put all the little balls all over yourself, but then
Really?
that was the first time they ever used that technology where they're like, all right, we're just gonna have you act out. You know, and that's the crazy thing is it's so evolved now. I feel like it's become accepted. But just imagine being the first person where it's like, yeah, every movement you do, including your face, is going to be superimposed onto this like 3-dimensional model of Gollum. So like you are Gollum.
Yep.
And he was the first person like, all right. And like how exciting that must have been. Like as an actor, you're like, oh, I'm going to like my physical body's going to be transcribed into this CGI. So like even like little facial gestures I make that are going to show up. And it's like, and then to put yourself for the first time in history into that mindset where you're like, oh, I need to actually be the monster. I need to walk like it. I need to be walking on all fours. And then that's how he ended up getting Planet of the Apes, is like he studied how apes walk and like act. And like he spent a bunch of time at like I think zoos and things like that, and like learned about how monkeys behave. And it's like what a G.
I had no idea about that. That's awesome because like I love the books and I respect the movies, but I don't know shit about movie making.
Do you want to know a crazy thing?
Huh.
I don't know if you know much about how they made the Lord of the Rings, but while we're on the subject
cameras,
of how they
right?
made it, one of the scenes with Gollum.
See, he laughed. I'm funny.
One of the scenes with Gollum didn't work that they filmed in real life. And it's the scene where Frodo is sort of like kicking Gollum down. It's in your book 2. Or
Okay.
he's kind of like dominating him a little bit.
When
like,
it starts-
you will listen to me.
And the Precious will. Yeah.
And they filmed that, and it didn't work. It didn't look good. The acting, the way that it came across, did not work. And Peter Jackson, this is like, 5 months after they wrap filming, everybody left. Peter Jackson calls Andy Serkis, and he's like, "So the scene's not working. What we didn't work, and I don't know what to do because we don't have the set anymore."
Like it didn't work how like the CG didn't match, or like it just didn't feel real.
No, not like not even like from a technical standpoint. I mean, the acting is not working.
Yeah.
It was just a bad scene.
It's like between you and
Imagine
Elijah.
if they kept that in the movie, it would be like
my
a
God,
meme
yeah.
at this point.
Like
Remember how
your
cheesy that one
voice
scene was?
going against Elijah, and I'm not believing it. And he had Andy Serkis film it in his home, in his living room. The whole thing. And you can watch the whole tape. It's on YouTube. It's fascinating. It's Andy Serkis doing the scene in his living room, and then the animators animated on top of him and put it into the movie. The new performance, and they mic'd him up.
That's wild.
And it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Do you know they fired the original actor for Aragorn?
Really?
Viggo
Yeah,
Mortensen.
Viggo Mortensen was not the original actor.
They fired him.
Why?
Because he sucked. They got a couple scenes into it, and we looked him up actually, and he does not have the likeness. He has a bit more of a Sebastian Stan look to him, like a dark, brooding, hot guy. What I love about Viggo Mortensen is he's not a hot guy. He's kind of like, I don't want to say he's ugly, but he has not hot guy features, and in the right scenario, he stands out as a hot guy.
This is why Chris married Legolas.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not into tall, dark, and handsome.
I'm metrosexual. I can say whatever I want.
You're revealing a lot right now, Chris.
Well, no, dude. It's okay. Not your type. It's fine.
Look at these shorts. They're short as fuck.
Well, let me. So I'm going to switch it up just a little bit because I'm actually interested, and you guys might know more than me. So like, Rings of Power goes through. Okay, they wrap that story up, and then the original trilogy. Does the Lord of the Rings brand, as far as content, die off? Like, can they take it? Do they go past? It's like Star Wars. It's like, they start with the original 3, and then they do the prequels, and then they go to the end of the original. It's like, what do they like? What happens after Frodo goes to live in the land of,
What's that called? Fan fiction, right?
No, dude, it doesn't even go there, right? Because, like, here's the thing. The stories that they're telling in the Rings of Power and the Fellowship of the Ring are maybe a quarter of all the material that you could tell coherent stories about without having to invent a lot. Like, there's actually new books coming out, and they're not new material, but it's like it's been edited down and turned into like novelized. Like there's Baron and
Like
Luthien,
Baron and Luthien, right?
Bam, Children of Hurin. These are amazing stories. Because
Yeah.
Tolkien wrote a bunch of other books also, like a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of poetry, songs, and like whole stories. But, none of it got published independently. So his son and his estate just has mountains of material that they just kind of go through, they edit it down, and they do the final edits, and they're like, oh, turns out J.R.R. had a 3rd book in him, a 5th book, a 12th book in him.
Yeah.
But they're short, they're kind of like short stories, they're more like novels. They're not wholly developed panoramic stories like the Lord of the Rings proper is.
I'm just concerned it's like a Star Wars situation where Lucas drops it off to Disney,
And Ryan Johnson's like, I'm going to write something.
and all of a sudden, like Rey, in that movie, like is like fighting Kylo Ren with like zero training, whereas like the original, the prequels, it was like all about like, you go to school, like this is your life, and then after training forever, then you get to this, and then like it just kind of felt like they crapped all over it. And I feel like with Lord of the Rings, like my concern is I think Peter Jackson, correct me wrong, like really was super chronological and stuck to the books, at least tried to summate what he could within the smaller time frame, right? And then it's like it's like whisper down the lane. Eventually we get to a point where like they're making Lord of the Rings content, and we're just like way off from like where J.R. Tolkien's vision was. Like that's just my concern for the brand.
So, Chris, you and I actually talked about this before we got here, and we talked about like George, Jesus Christ, J.R. Tolkien's like storytelling style. But that's, I think, separate, right? Because you can maintain fidelity to the base material, or you can tell a good story sometimes, and you have to make those choices. And I think that as a diehard Tolkien fan, lifelong, I hope they take the Star Wars route. I want them to throw out a different piece of Lord of the Rings media every year. You know why? Because even if 90% of it is mediocre, 5% of it's absolute hot trash, and 5% of it is gold, that's 5% more gold than I would have had anyway.
All right, so I'm going to hit you guys with a really hard question, okay? It's the end of the original trilogy. and just you can take a second, right? Where if you were to make a story, right? And this is a really hard question, picking up from where the movie is left off, who do you focus on? What is the story about? Is there some sort of like third iteration of, Sauron or like the next evil deity that takes place? And, if you could continue the story, is there ever like a way you thought you could take it? That's a hard question.
Well, I think it's important here to call out that not all great drama relies on great drama. And I would say that perhaps after The Lord of the Rings concludes, there is a world that exists where a story could exist in the Shire of a much smaller version with less stakes. For instance, in the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring, which technically is 2 books, they go to Lothlorien, which is where Galadriel is.
Yeah.
Right. It's not really shown in the movies, but in the book, Galadriel gives dirt, some soil from Lothlorien to Samwise. As far as we know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pat.
Is Sam the new protagonist?
As far
I
as
think that would be great.
As far as we know, Lothlorien, Galadriel's realm, her little area of protected area, likely drifts away, never to be seen again.
It's like it's a magic forest, and it's partially preserved by the power of the rings. The theory being that when you destroy the one ring, you depower everything else, so everything that relies on that will fade.
What's interesting is that you seem to gravitate back towards the Shire, and so it seems like the centerpiece of Lord of the Rings is around the hobbits.
Yes.
Like these underdogs with a unique culture who experience great adventures outside of the realm that
They're taken
find.
from their home, right?
Yeah.
That's the big drama of the entire series, is that the hobbits are drawn out of their home. Fish out of water. We all know the fish out of water trope, right?
Yeah.
So what happens when the fish goes home and home is fucked? That's what I want to know about.
So I think an easy trope would be, you had Bilbo, right, and then you had Frodo. But I think if you continue the story, it's Sam's son.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the same kind of classical scheme of like, I went on a great adventure when I was, your age, and now, and like, Dad, okay. And then they go out and experience it. It's just, I don't know where they go with the antagonist, right? I mean, it was so kind of final in the idea that like Sauron was actually defeated through the ring. I mean,
Well, the good news is we know that all evil is derived from choice. And
Truth.
if choice is to prevail, which is hope, if hope prevails, choice prevails, right? You have to make the choice to prevail and make the choice to be in the good side, to be like, the light must win, not the darkness. Then we know that forever remaining people can be drawn to the shadow, essentially.
So yeah, you can absolutely tap into any amount of storytelling through just like normal conflict, right? It's a very rich world that provides like a depth of character and a depth of development that allows for very real, very canon problems that could create excellent storytelling. But the other thing is, you talk about like, the story is about destroying Sauron, essentially destroying that ring and getting rid of the most evil thing in Middle Earth.
Mm-hmm.
The number 2 most evil thing in Middle Earth was the Balrog.
yeah.
But the thing is the Balrog and Sauron are both born out of, Melkor stuff, right?
Right.
And there is no definitive answer about what else is hiding under whatever friggin' mountains or under lake or whatever things are. The world's big, mysterious, and scary. It's just that the story doesn't branch that hard.
And it also seems like so Gandalf, right? XP joke aside, right? He quote unquote, let's just say, dies, I don't know, as Gandalf the Grey.
He does.
Right? He does. So he officially dies, and he comes back as Gandalf
He
the
dies
White.
naked, actually.
And so, okay, that's important to know.
It was important to write in the book.
Yeah.
He dies naked on
He
the
dies
snow-covered mountain.
butt-ass naked. Yeah.
He fights the Balrog naked in his last final moments and dies after he slays him.
That does make it even sicker. But to my point,
It makes it so sick,
it
dude.
does, it does, like armorless and everything.
Yeah, fully vulnerable. Taking on the
All he's got is his
you know,
sword, and he just beats this mother.
his metal sword.
Yeah.
but Gandalf, it's like he leaves the universe, and the god of Lord of the Rings, right, sends him right back, but he's upgraded. And so to me, the yin and yang, the balance to reality, to me, I think when Sauron passes, he has to be replaced. Like there has to be another. I'm looking at my notes. Maiar, or like the anti
A
aspect,
new evil creation.
Yeah, exactly. And so to me, I feel like they could make like
Samwise's son.
Do you know what a huge, for a long time, a huge avenue for the discussion that you're having is like, well, who is the next great evil, right? Because it has to sort of follow that same route. Like, if all creation flows from one place and all evil flows from one place, all conflict must flow from where those things meet. The Blue Wizards. Because we don't know.
Yo, you're on it, dude. I swear to you, if the Blue Wizards, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's it, bro.
They
That's
gotta be
it.
fly too, dude. I don't know what it is, but the name Blue Wizards, they have to have like they're dripped out in like blue.
They're from
robes.
Miami. They're just badass.
Yo, dude, they like, all we know is like they go east and they get fucked up and
They've been plotting out east.
Yeah.
Now the east is separate of Middle Earth. Yes, no.
Same continent. It's like, it's like the Eurasian steppes, like real world geography. You just keep going east and the world keeps going. We just don't know what's out there.
Is it?
If you go east enough, it becomes west.
Okay, so
That's not actually true.
that's no. I wonder, is Middle Earth like flat Earth or is it globe model?
So it functioned as a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Until God had to close the door to the Undying Lands because the Númenóreans, Aragorn's ancestors, were like, "Fuck this, we're gonna break into heaven."
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah. So like long story short, they used to have this like kingdom kind of like Atlantis where all the Númenóreans lived, where like the Gondorians and all that shit. And they kind of like they spit in God's face and wanted to pick a fight. So God sank their nation and closed the doors to like his realm.
Some hardcore
And
shit.
He bent reality.
Yeah.
So you could no longer go far enough west to get to heaven.
If you kept going west, you would just go east.
Yeah.
Well, now.
Yeah.
It used to be you would just go to the Undying Lands and have like, I don't know, oranges forever or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I just imagine the weather's very nice.
Yeah. And they live forever.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
sweet parties.
Yeah, dude.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Do you remember the score for the Lord of the Rings?
Man. So
2-1.
The one thing I remember from Lord of the Rings from a score standpoint was the last song by Annie Lennox called Into the West that she sings when Frodo's on. It's like, what can you see on the horizon? And like that song to me was like, that's the kind of song you would sit through the credits because you were in, like, I do think when the Lord of the Rings trilogy finished, there was this and I'm not even joking, like I was sad. I was sitting there, and I was like, it's the kind of story that it wraps itself up so well and it ends so well that you sit there in the theater and you're grieving. You're grieving that it's over. And that song had such like a somber feeling to it, but it was also
almost a funeral song.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like you're like watching the casket of the movie leave and you're like, well, I guess we're done with that. This is over.
Yeah. And the song, it's weird because
haunting.
It fills you with hope because like it really is like, all right, Frodo's going on to like a better place and you're happy for him as the protagonist of the story, but like you also grieve for him because he's been holding this ring that has kind of been draining his like soul.
The ultimate burden.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that it just kind of What about you? Is there
Dude, I got to be honest with you. I'm assuming you enjoy Rings of Power.
Yes.
Can you rate? Have you seen all the episodes?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hum the theme song of Rings of Power right now?
If you start to hum it, I could remember.
I can't hum a single fucking thing from it.
No.
I could tell you, I could hum at least 10 different melodies from the 3 movies, though. That's how powerful the musicians that created the score for the series, the Lord of the Rings 3 movie series. I think that you can't fully have a conversation about the Lord of the Rings or the lore of the Lord of the Rings or the world in which the Lord of the Rings impacted our society without talking about the composition of the music. The music of the Lord of the Rings, it was like 2003 or 2 or whatever when the Fellowship came out. It was like really a long time ago, 23 years ago.
And you know the composer?
Howard Shore.
Howard
Shore is
yeah,
the composer of it.
Man.
You know, like the classic, dun, dun, right? Like these classic thematic songs, and not only songs, but there were repetition. Like you would hear the same theme, but it would be played a little bit differently. When we're with the elves, a little bit differently. And man, I think that's something that I love with all of my heart. I love Bear McCreary. I think he is truly one of the greatest composers of the last 20 years. But unfortunately, before him, there were better composers in my mind.
So Bear McCreary.
Bear McCreary is the composer of the Rings of Power. Okay. He's also the composer of The Last of Us. He's the composer of God of War. Great. He's a composer of 75 other amazing shows. He is an amazing composer. I love him completely with all my heart. The problem is, I just don't think he captured what Howard Shore opened.
Was Howard Shore a fan?
Like, he had to have been.
He had to have been, right?
I think that Bear McCreary went out to find the theme for Rings of Power, and I think Howard Shore sat there and let the theme for Lord of the Rings come to him. And that's a different process.
It's like this. It's like the concept I was talking about earlier, like tapping into something that exists.
Yes.
And like I feel that musically. Sometimes I'm just on the keyboard and I'm like searching instead of just like, and I do this sometimes where I already have the jingle in my head and I try to make it, but then like sometimes I'm just like playing with sounds and then like you play something and it feels like it already exists with certain notes, and then you end up playing. He was probably doing something about nature.
Yeah. That's the Shire.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And if you tell me it's not the Shire, I'll fucking slice your throat open.
Chris
that is the shop.
Bring
the
us a
Shire.
little closer, Pat.
That is the Shire.
Yeah.
This thing is
right. I know the sounds of Mordor. I know the sounds of the Shire. I know the sounds of triumph, and I know the sounds of failure, based on what Howard Shore created from that movie. I couldn't tell you a single thing from Rings of Power.
That's kind of sad because I felt like the acting was great somewhere between.
It was incredible.
Yeah, the acting was great.
I could tell you the Tom Bombadil song.
Okay.
That one's really good.
Yeah, okay.
But it's Tom Bombadil. I don't know if you want to talk about Tom Bombadil.
Is it like a banjo? Tom Bombadil's a goddamn joke. It's like from the books, he's like an insane children's character that gets dropped in. It's wild. If you like Tom Bombadil's character in Rings of Power and you want to explore more, Fellowship's a great spot for it. But
Tom Bombadil is a very important character in the book.
He's not.
So in the book, or in the movie, though, I've never read the book. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Faramir is the human that really struggles to kind of take the... Is it Boromir or Faramir that wants to take the ring for himself with the Fellowship?
That's Boromir. Boromir,
So-
played by Sean Bean.
All right, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
Boromir in this situation.
Okay. This is a great thing because I love Boromir with all my heart.
If you're Boromir, you taking the ring or no? Like you yourself.
Well, let me phrase this a little differently, right? Am I taking the ring? I don't think that's the question. Is my intent to take the ring just? Is a good question.
I don't even really. There's so much ambiguity around the ring. You're drawn to it, but the viewer is kind of left in this state where it's like, okay, well, what real power comes from it other than the allure? It's like
as a newbie to this world, can I give you a
exponential.
Perfect example of this?
It's like,
because we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Literally in the Boromir episode, we got into like almost a screaming match in the podcast. Because
Very excited.
I love talking. I get very excited very quickly. Sorry for listeners if I'm loud. But let me give you an example. Okay, bro? Let's just say that the three of us and, 4 or 5 other people were hanging out and we all went on a road trip.
yeah.
And about 2 weeks into that road trip, we ran out of money. And the car broke down. We didn't have anywhere to stay. We didn't have any food. But in the back, in the trunk, there was a duffel bag with $50 million in it. Do you use that money to help us further our trip?
Yes.
Or do you keep it sealed? Do you keep that duffel bag sealed and go, we will not touch the money, we'll figure something out?
I use that's so much money. I use it to help.
Yeah, it's literally world-changing money.
Right.
Right? That is Boromir. That is the struggle of Boromir.
Yeah, because it's, to your point, it's like in the movies, you're kind of introduced to this ring as being this thing that people want. But in the books, it's explained that this is a weapon of incredible power.
I don't think they explain that enough in the movies. You're like,
correct.
Yeah, because the ring
is evil, right?
Yeah, the ring is like this thing that's, correct me if I'm wrong, Sauron makes, and then he makes all these other rings, and he gives them out to the men and the dwarves.
Yeah.
And he has like a control mechanism. And so, but like, what does that mean to someone like Boromir? Like, can he wield it? Like,
well, I think the bigger question is, who is Boromir? Right? Who is Boromir? Because when you think about everybody else, who is Gimli? Gimli doesn't care about a ring. He's a dwarf. He cares about the shit that he's digging up in the mountains. Who's Legolas? Legolas doesn't care about a ring. He's the prince. He's a son of a king. He cares about Mirkwood. He cares about everything he's doing. Who's Aragorn? Aragorn certainly doesn't care about the ring. He's a ranger who lives in the woods for the last 60 years, been wandering the fucking woods by himself, looking for shit to kill, defending the whole north. Who are the hobbits? They don't give a fuck about a ring. They just want to be home and smoke weed and drink wine and get drunk.
Is that what they were smoking? It seemed like it in the original cartoon film. I'm pretty sure Bilbo was.
Without breaking any rules. Yeah, essentially. What does Gandalf want to do? Gandalf wants to, neutrality, right? He wants to make sure everything is neutral.
Yeah.
So what is the ring? The ring is a weapon. So who is Boromir? Well, I don't know. You probably know the better phrasing for who he is because I don't know too much about him. But from what I've read, Boromir is a warrior.
Boromir is a man fighting a war to save his people. And he sees that the plan is to take this like world-changing weapon.
This nuclear bomb.
And instead of using it to fight a war against evil, everyone else's plan is to try to do a Hail Mary and pitch it into a volcano behind enemy lines. A plan which, in the book, everyone looks at each other and goes, this can't work, but we don't have a better plan.
Right.
And Boromir's like, hold up. I have a whole list of priorities that we can solve if we just use it for a minute. Because Boromir could take that ring and he could become an unstoppable warlord.
Yeah.
He could win the war. Couldn't kill Sauron, but he could kill everyone else.
Outside of our story that we all know, The Lord of the Rings, there's a legitimate war between men and orcs that has been going on for a very long time.
2,500 years.
And Boromir is like the general of that.
Yeah.
And he's like, when we meet Boromir, he's one of 3 people, right? 3 or 2 who survive the attack.
One of 4.
One of 4. So when we meet Boromir and he arrives in Rivendell 6 months or so after a battle with orcs, and he's one of 4 people left of an entire army that was slaughtered.
He's out of
a
options.
G. He's kind of like
he's the most badass warrior in Gondor who's come up because he had a dream about Aragorn's sword.
Yeah.
Or his brother did. And his brother was like, I had a dream about this broken sword. And he was like, I have to travel to go see this elf and talk to him about it. He just happens to arrive as there's a conversation about a fucking nuclear bomb in the shape of a circle that goes in your finger.
Yeah. Well,
and he's like, wait a minute. Thousands of my friends and family have died. And you're saying we have the thing that can end all of this?
In the movie, they
A duffel
briefly
with
touch
$50
on
million,
it.
Yeah.
right?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the movie, the fellowship is sitting in that circle, and the only moment they touch on it, and he's like, "Why don't we use it?"
Yes.
And I think
And
maybe
they make him look dumb.
Yeah, they do
For
make.
suggesting that.
Yeah, they do make him look done. Yeah, you're right.
Everybody goes like this. Like they cut the Gandalf and he like rolls his eyes like, ugh. You're like, he's
like-
not wrong, dude.
It's a real discussion though,
Yeah.
because like the thing is Boromir could use it to win his war, but the ring would destroy him in the end. He'd become basically a ring wraith.
Right.
Because the whole point is that
Yeah.
only Sauron can use the ring because it is of him. It's his essence. Like that's the whole point of it. And that's why destroying it will destroy Sauron. And that's why everybody who's like, you know, long game, like Elrond is an elf who's been fighting this war for 3,000 years. He's like, long game, we just need to defeat Sauron. The war in Gondor doesn't matter. All your people died. I get it. It's very sad, but we're going to get rid of the ring and solve
Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
I feel like Harry Potter kind of swagger jacked Lord of the Rings with the Horcruxes. You know what I mean? Like putting your essence into the Hort, and then you
There's
have
a
to
lot
just,
of Harry Potter shit
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
ripped, dude.
You know, and then like I feel like
Worm tongue, worm tail.
too. StarCraft with Zerg.
StarCraft is amazing.
Were you play StarCraft?
Dude, I played StarCraft 1, I played Brood War, and I played a shitload of StarCraft 2.
He still plays
all right,
StarCraft.
So I hit Masters League in teams fight. I was Diamond 1v. So for the viewers at home who want to nerd out, in StarCraft 2, the ranking system is bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then masters. And so like you're kind of like a grandmaster in chess. Like I think it's like 2% of people hit masters level, and I did for teams fights, and
That's
and,
awesome.
Yeah,
That's fucking real.
but
dude.
I think like it's
So you didn't really go out a lot. This explains the podcast in your living room.
it was like 1990. I don't know, 8 or 9, where like Brood War like sucked me in with the real time strategy, and I just it's interesting how like I think a lot of different storylines kind of all pull from similar concepts.
Yes.
Whereas like the Zerg, I feel like is more similar to the Orc. Maybe Protoss would be elves or something like that.
Yeah,
Very
like-
few percent of my audience is understanding what I'm saying right now, but
Well, let's break it down to the simplest of cores, right? Everyone thinks they understand good versus evil as a unilateral scale from pointing down to pointing up. We know that because of societal constructs with religion. We point down towards hell, we point up towards heaven, quote unquote, right? So we assume that the scale must be similar. Bad guys down, good guys up.
bad guys, monsters, good guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Whatever you
Symmetrical
wanna be.
and
what
beautiful.
if though instead of being a vertical scale, it was a horizontal scale?
well, it kind of is
Right.
in Lord of the Rings. Is it like I don't know. You go east to go to these like elvish.
Yes. And
You
so
know what I
then
mean?
it becomes, okay, well, did you realize that like perhaps the men were the bad guys to maybe dwarves or maybe elves, or like there's a little bit of a different perpendicular scale here of like, well, who we thought was good is actually bad to another race or vice versa. And that's intriguing, right? That's worth talking about.
The orc, from what I understand, were elves kind of gone wrong. Is that right? So like what, their story.
Yeah, they're at the top. They're in the good leagues in their mind, right? In their POV, the orcs are like, well, we're the good guys.
yeah, dude.
Especially if you watch Rings of Power.
dude,
Yeah.
orcs.
You're
elves-
not going to like that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, really though. Like elves are like superhuman. Humans are just like this like afterthought. It's like I'm Ilvitar. I'm the guy. I made the world. I want to populate it. I make elves because they're fucking badass. And then I want something to showcase that elves are super cool. So I'm gonna make something slightly lesser and a little weirder and a little hairier as a human being.
Yeah.
And they only get 100 years.
Yep,
They're like
that's it.
cookies, dude.
Yeah.
It's like if I make cookies, Pat, you love cookies.
I love cookies.
You're a sweets connoisseur.
I have an enormous sweet tooth.
And if you came over and I had a tray of cookies out on the counter that I had just made, and you said, how are those? And I said, those are so good. You'd be like, fuck yeah, let me try one. And then you looked at the one to the left of it and you said, how are those? And I went, they're good.
Yeah, those are actually dog treats.
That is what happened. That's
Kinda,
what
yeah.
that's what happened. That's Lord of the Rings.
and like to come back to like themes and like the idea of good and evil and everything, and like and the way the world gets structured. Tolkien is super conservative in the sense that he's not really inventing a lot of things outside of the language and outside of a lot of the particular fantasies, right? He's an Englishman. He comes from the west of the West. So the further east you go, the weirder shit gets, right? That is a historical parallel for a Eurocentric view of the world.
That's a fair point, especially with like the way you actually construct Middle Earth, and then you make like the East like this esoteric, like unknown. You know,
Who's east of England?
Bad people. Frenchmen.
was it World War One that he World War,
First World War.
And I've heard World War One was kind of like the most savage of the two, like with like gas and things like that, and like they were just like that's when like all the crazy weapon development started happening. There weren't really like much guidelines on biological weapons and things like that. And that's where they're like, oh, we need to invent a gas mask now.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sure.
World War
He
One
knows.
was an industrialization of war. Like you essentially, for people who have an interest, the very short version is that World War One was a butcher's field because the tools and the ability for people to kill one another vastly exceeded our understanding of tactics, warfare, and national goals. Things changed so fast and got deadly so quickly that 1 million people were dead before people were scratching their head going, that shouldn't have happened. How do we fix that? I don't know, but we're in the middle of a war, so throw 1 million more people in and we'll figure it out later. And it just kept happening.
Penicillin.
Dude, honestly?
That's what. Yeah, isn't
Penicillin came out of that stuff. The periodic table was created by the same guy who invented chlorine gas in World War One, the German physicist or chemist who like
was that the guy
brutally
that
killed a bunch of people.
wasn't that the guy that also invented nitrite for agriculture?
Dude, the Green
Right.
Revolution was so important.
The guy, he was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was part of biological weapons, and then he figured out like nitrite.
It's the other way around.
Okay.
He was famous
Okay.
because he figured out, because nitrogen is a huge fertilizer, right? But way back in the late 1800s, they didn't have it. You just
Yeah.
use cow shit.
Right.
But then he figured out that you could pull fertilizer from the air. He was literally like led into gold moments for farmers, like for subsistence farmers. They were like, you live and you work and you barely scrape by in the winter. What if we could double your productivity for nothing? That's not money. That's life or death to big farm families. And then the war happened, and everybody's like, we got this wizard in our backyard who can turn air into food, into wealth, into power. What do you got to kill Englishmen? Oh, okay, chlorine gas? Have at, kid. And he went into weapons development, and he didn't care. Fun fact, he had no real bad feelings about that afterwards, because he was a firm believer in nationalism. And he said, you know what, you win the war, you fight to win.
Interesting.
Well, I think something as horrific as World War One is absolutely foundational to the kind of storytelling that, I mean, the escape, you build this alternate reality like J.R. Tolkien had made. There has to be like this huge component of escapism that maybe, for all we know, like he could have been in the trenches, at night just trying to, I don't know, get in a different mindset. I don't know how
good example of this is like you're talking about, and we talked about this. Maybe you can jump in here, but dwarves dig underground. Who were the digging underground things?
Sappers.
Right.
You would dig mines because it's trench warfare, right? So you would want to dig
World War I.
underground so you can't see anybody. You don't get seen, so you don't get shot. You dig a tunnel underneath. You pack it full of explosives. You set it off, and you blow up the enemy. That's dwarves, man.
Yeah. So like it all comes from something.
Yeah.
So earlier tonight, when you were like, "Oh, do you think like some of this is drawn from reality?" The more the deeper you dig into this, you see that almost every single thing has a parallel.
I think
It's crazy.
This topic really could be like a Netflix documentary
Yes.
of like his life. I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet. Like just drawing the parallels of like World War I into like
I think they made a movie about this, actually.
Did they?
I think so.
J.R.R. Tolkien?
Yeah. Tolkien's. It's called Tolkien or something. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They made that movie. But do you know what's...
It's like a narrative movie.
Yeah.
The kid from Nosferatu's in it.
Oh, that's wild.
The main guy it's when he's younger.
Skarsgård?
No, not Skarsgård. The other one, the hot one. The main
Skarsgård? No, I'm kidding.
That's the monster.
But, yeah,
I don't know the name of the guy. The girls know.
Yeah.
Holt.
Oh, Nicholas Holt.
Yeah, when he's younger, he plays Tolkien.
Oh, that's cool. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you were talking about escapism, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool because Tolkien says like the whole point of him making this world was escapism. The world sucks. Reality is hard. You should have nice stories and things to give you hope.
Yeah.
So he said that explicitly. But what's interesting is, and when you talk about the way that, when you create something, you guys are putting yourself into it, but you may not be totally aware of everything that's influencing that, right?
Yeah.
He also said, I don't do symbolism. I don't do allegory. I don't care for it. Like,
When did he pass? Do you guys know? Was it before the movies came out?
well before.
That's what I was
2018.
thinking. Wow. Yeah. No, but it's just like, it would have been crazy for him to have been alive during that.
I think he would have hated it.
Yeah, he would have absolutely despised the movies.
Yeah.
Wow. Such confidence.
I think he would have watched it and went, you cut everything out.
Well, it's like he created.
It would have
again,
like 6 movies. It would have taken.
No,
At least.
it would have been dry, and it would have been a documentary about language building. That would have been his absolute dream for movie.
Yeah. The Lord of the Rings is written like a documentary. It's very there's a lot of explanation. There's a lot of look at the color of this
But you're
leaf.
having fun, right?
I make documentaries for a living. I love it.
Okay. All right. So
I love documentaries. I don't say that as a negative way. I'm saying that.
then you have to qualify that statement because a lot of people hear that and they're like, "Oh, history lesson."
Oh, sure.
I love history.
Let me rephrase that. The Lord of the Rings is written as a bit of, from somebody who doesn't read anything really, it's written as an extreme magnifying glass on the very peculiarities of the people and the places that the story takes place in, not so much in the overarching plot of what's going on. And there will be paragraphs. I mean, we talked about this when we were swimming in a pool earlier tonight. There's paragraphs, there's chapters talking about the kinds of trees that they're walking past.
The descriptions of hills that they walk through. Because the idea is that the characters are what's important. The people are important, right? All stories are about people at some level, some way. But Tolkien takes time to.
He's
put
not a
you in the
character
world.
witer.
No, he's not.
He's not a character writer.
There's a lot of.
You would never guess any of this by watching the movie because
Correct.
it sounds like
Peter Jackson's a character director.
Yeah, they
Middle Earth, quote unquote, Middle Earth is more important to Tolkien than the characters that live in Middle Earth.
Yep.
Peter Jackson goes, fuck Middle Earth. The characters are all that matter. And that's
Yeah.
the big difference.
Well, as a general viewer, without watching the movie, I mean, it's the characters, right, and the story. But I think at least, hopefully, Peter Jackson and the scenery that he chose in New Zealand has some sort of similarity to the way the descriptions are in the books. Is that accurate, or do you think like you're
That's
going
one way,
back and you're
right.
reading the books and you're like, I don't know. I mean, it looks different than the scenes of the movie.
You get all the vibes. It's right.
Okay.
New Zealand, surprisingly,
Versatile.
was a great location. And I say this because New Zealand got the tax credit for shooting it. So, Peter Jackson, as a New Zealander, won the tax credit on that. And he took every single horse in the country to be in that movie. Notoriously, other actors who were filming other shows got very pissed because they lost their horses during production.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the Riders of Rohan, all those like Viking men on horses.
Yeah.
In the movies, in 90%, in those shots, those actors, 90% of them are actresses in fake beards. Because they couldn't find enough guys who knew how to ride, so they had to grab up all the women.
That's great.
Yeah. But it is really interesting because visually, I'm so curious about what your brain thinks of this because I was introduced to Middle Earth through Peter Jackson's vision. To me, New Zealand is Middle Earth. I've had some moments where that's straight. I went to Scotland and I went to Ireland with my wife, and I went to Ireland with them, with him and his wife. And there's moments in Scotland, the Isle of Skye, which is the northwest island off of Scotland. Mm-hmm. I mean, bro, that is Mordor. Like, it is insanity. It is a dead wasteland of unbelievable vast expansions of land and cliffs and terrible, beautiful landscapes that you're both impressed by and terrified of, with like gas coming out of the ground and fucking animals wandering around who look like they slice you in half. And you're sitting there going, well, this also is, you know.
Yeah, it's also Middle Earth, right?
Like this is also Middle Earth, but also like I know Middle Earth is like New Zealand. You know what I mean? And this is not New Zealand.
Yeah. So to kind of get what you're going for, I think the movies are a great representation of the world. Yeah. I think that the actual the shots are great. They're not just, and this is the beauty of Peter Jackson's films, is they're not just a faithful adaptation, because the things they change, they have to change. They truly do. And then they do things like they give us new scenes. They give us new lines. The movies add to the story.
Liv Tyler.
So,
dude, oh my God, everything with Liv Tyler. If you like Liv Tyler, what's her freaking character's name? Arwen. I'm so drunk. No, but Arwen's character. If you like Arwen in the movies, like she's the elf that like saves Frodo and they ride the horses and all that stuff, and then she appears later. Like, if you like her character from the movies, I got super bad news for you about the books, man. Because they take her character, they replace the dude who does all that stuff and then does nothing else with the story, and they pop Arwen in the movies because it's just a better choice.
yeah.
So like they do good work.
Let me. So we're coming up on 2 hours. I kind of I want to wrap up. There's something I'm interested to ask you both, and you can take a second. So you're getting into the books. You've seen the movies, right? Tell me something that you've read in the books that either you felt should have been in the movies, or a part in the books that you felt like were so great that you were like, it was the most exciting thing that you had learned in the book, but that you didn't know through the movies. So like, you know, for the viewers at home that have only seen the movies, what's something that you can give them where we're kind of left out, you know, of something that's relatively exciting?
So, Chris, if you want to take a sec to think about this, all of the bad guys in the books are so much cooler.
Okay.
They are so much more powerful. They're so much more interesting. It's like what we talked about with The Ring.
Yeah.
Like, the movie tells you that it has to be destroyed, but you don't know why. And the book doesn't tell you why, but it shows you why. It takes its time to show you that the ring is incredibly powerful, and that you as a reader come to the conclusion that, like, yeah, the only option is for Frodo to, like, you know, hell or high water, Hail Mary, suicide mission. If that's the only way. Mm-hmm. The book makes you feel that and makes you come to those conclusions. The monsters, the Balrog, is so much more interesting in the book. And I don't mean this from like a dry, weird sense. I mean just the scenes are more powerful, and there's more of it.
More powerful in like description and like explanation, or like more powerful from the standpoint of like representation, like the Balrog was bigger in the book, or you know,
not like more powerful and like a harder enemy for the characters to defeat.
Yeah,
more powerful and more impactful as a reader. Yeah, you get more mileage out of all of Tolkien's villains, and that's what drives the conflict, and it's so fucking good.
I think for me, the thing that the movies did not nail, since I've read now a good bit of this, is Rivendell. I think that the entire way that Rivendell is handled in the book, in the movies, is just, it pales in comparison to the books. Elrond is useless in the movies. He's just like this cranky dude for no reason.
Rivendell's where everyone meets for the Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, where Agent Smith hosts a party.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a chapter in the book called Many Meetings, And it takes place the night before the Fellowship of the Ring meeting, where they all sit around that stone and they're all sitting on the porch, right? So that's several days into there, right? The reality is it's several weeks probably since they arrived, but it's several days into this sort of like council. It's called the Council of Elrond. And basically everybody who's sitting in that big circle in that scene in the movie, they're all like arriving, and they're all like well-known people. And it's also where like the hobbits reconnect with all these characters. And they have this amazing, big, joyful storytelling dinner. And one of the hobbits, who's the hobbit? One of the hobbits from The Hobbit is sitting next to Frodo.
It's one of the dwarves.
Excuse me. One of the dwarves from The Hobbit.
It's the dwarf in Lord of the Rings. The dwarf in Lord of the Rings is Gimli. His father is Glowin, who went on the adventure in The Hobbit. Glowin sits next to Frodo and talks his ear off.
Yeah. And Frodo's like, this fucking guy, shut up. But it's funny because that's one of the main dwarves from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me all of my uncle's old stories from a slightly
he's like,
different
we
perspective.
got into so much shit.
He's already heard the stories. That's funny. Okay.
And Frodo's like, bro, enough. This guy sucks. Like,
It's so funny because Tolkien is like, at some point, Frodo just stopped listening, but the dwarf did not stop talking.
You know what's funny that it reminds me of is in the movie Dune and in versus the book.
new ones?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dude,
Dune fanatic.
Dune 2 is like my favorite film of the last 10 years.
My man.
But I decided to go through the audiobooks, and there's this big meal that they have in the first book that is left out of the movie, and it's like it sounds identical to what you're talking about. And it was like the one scene that I was like, wait, what? Like, why was this left out?
yeah.
Isn't that weird? It's honestly simpatico.
It's like a really cool trope. And also, I'm super glad I didn't know you were into Dune until just now, because that would have derailed this entire thing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that to me is like they failed the Rivendell scene to me, because they focused completely on the Fellowship meeting, like the actual
like
whatever it is
in the movie. Like, they've been there 5 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, you're all here, okay? Like, I think
What they don't show is that the night before, everyone in that meeting partied, and they partied hard together, and they got annihilated and had an amazing feast, and they sing songs
on that good Gandalf.
And like everyone just
OG.
gets to know each. It's like this joyful. Like, we're on the road for fucking 11, 12 chapters of like, we're gonna die at any moment, and then we're here.
Yeah.
It's the most
In, like,
amazing,
paradise.
warmful, like joyful, like. And Frodo sees Bilbo, and he hasn't seen Bilbo. Oh. What are we talking about? I just remembered the biggest thing of fuck you from the book versus the movie. Let me ask you a question, Justin.
Yeah.
How much time passes between when Bilbo leaves the party and he fucks off
Yeah.
to when Gandalf and Frodo are like, we have to leave? Or Frodo's like, we have to leave. There's a mission. And he gets the ring. And they leave with Sam.
Like, when you watch it, just a few minutes. I mean, it's like,
Right, but what's the impression of the elapsed time?
Guess how long it's been.
I haven't read the book, so
Doesn't matter.
It sounds like
Based on movies. Just based on movies.
a few hours.
Okay. Do you know what it is?
No,
17 years.
17 years.
Yeah. Like, and Gandalf like pops in, checks on Frodo, and is like, how's this man-child I left with a nuclear weapon? He's doing okay. He doesn't look too weird. I'm going to fuck off for another 10 years.
Gandalf is like, that whole scene.
Yeah.
Where like Frodo's like in the dark, the bag end, and it's like dark, and Gandalf's with them. 17 years later. Since the party.
You miss a lot when you only watch the movies. You miss a lot.
That's crazy. That changes so much.
It's really cool. I would say that for your Rings of Power folk, if just real quick, Rings of Power. Do you guys do you get to meet Glorfindel? That's not a character either of you are recognizing. Okay,
No.
that's a you problem, man. I hope to God they bring him in because he's real cool.
They are planning on doing like 8 more seasons.
Perfect.
All right,
Okay, you're gonna meet the cool
You should get in
characters.
touch with them.
So
Also, but the
I
point
can't
was
say
gonna
anything.
make, right? Okay, but the point I was going to make is that if you're a fan of Rings of Power and you like Galadriel and you like the elves like Elrond's a fucking badass in the books, dude.
He's a badass in Rings of Power,
Dude.
dude. Not to spoil anything. He's,
Right. Well, you can't spoil. I know the story. But but like no, really though, like if you like those characters from Rings of Power, they appear in the books and they get real parts and they have real good impact on the story. So this all will weave together. You're not gonna get blindsided by stuff. You're gonna enjoy a richer experience. And I'll say this: it's a long set of books. It's like 1,000 pages, but it's actually easy to read.
It's good to know.
yeah, the proof of that is that me, a semi-illiterate idiot, was able to fully have a conversation tonight about the lore of Lord of the Rings
That's just it.
from reading a little bit of that book. And that's the point of our entire podcast, which is why we're so thankful to be on this podcast. To talk
No,
about it.
definitely. I mean, you guys, it's like not even joking. I've actually been sitting here thinking maybe I should read the book. So
We are here
I hope you guys have
spread
done
joy,
that for my
man.
audience. And, Fool of a Took podcast. I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts, but really appreciate both of you guys coming on here.
We're so thankful to be here. My send off here for anyone listening is just give us a follow. Come check out our stuff. Fool of a Took podcast. This is a non-scholarly podcast. I cannot stress that enough.
Low bar to entry.
There is no scholarly discussion allowed. We drink approximately 4 bottles of wine every episode.
We use small words.
We make what would come across as a big heavyweight task of reading these books. We present it in a fun, digestible way that is basically just like what you heard us talking tonight. It's R-rated. It's not for kids. I promise you it's not for kids. And yet we have a dedicated following of people who show this to their kids.
They do.
Which is so funny.
They edit our podcast because we don't edit out the profanity or the crude jokes. They edit it, and one guy shows it to his 10-year-old niece. My nephews see it, and not a one of them is over the age of 9.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude!
So we make digestible episodes. Every single Lord of the Rings podcast out there is between 2 and 4 hours long every episode. We try to stay between 60 to 90 minutes every episode. We make it digestible. We make it fun. And we make it so that everybody can be a part of it. Well, everybody who is over the age of 13, essentially. If you're under the age of 13, you can feel free to listen, but I cannot endorse that.
With
or
a parent's
condone that.
consent.
Yeah. But anyway, Fool of a Took podcast. We are here to promote season 2 of The Two Towers. It just came out. We are on, I think the 3rd or 4th episode has just released this week. But by the time that you're listening to this, I bet you there's more out.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in. I'll be checking out the podcast as well. So thank you, Pat. Thank you, Chris. And with
Thank
that,
you.
I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Later.